think there's some confusion out there about promoted listings and what it means to your success on eBay, regardless of what you're selling. So I want to talk to you about that and have an announcement on the other side. So without any further ado, let's go. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is John from Flippin' Ain't Easy, and yeah, I know I talked about maybe changing things up on the program as far as the intro, no intro. It was almost like a 50-50 split, guys, and I think this channel has a certain kind of identity, and I think the little intro that I do is something I've done since day one, and it's not all that long, and it's probably something for now that we're just going to keep. But that's not why you tuned in to watch this video. But I do have a little bit of an announcement that I want to share. Now, if anybody out there, maybe you've been under a rock, do not know who Craigslist Hunter is. That's Pete. Great guy. Had a chance to really meet him in Cincinnati and have great conversation, and really have been in touch with him ever since. And he has unveiled a new shopping venture under the District platform using the Stripe payment system, and it's simply titled Craigslist Hunter. And if you go into District and search for him, you can go in and sign up to have an opportunity to either shop or even sell under his store. Now, I've done that, and I've been kind of working with Pete to help just give some feedback on the site from a seller's perspective. And I think it is, a lot of people ask me, when are we going to get something that will rival eBay? And I've always said it's really boils down to traffic and awareness. So that's what kind of this video is. I mean, if you watched the video he put out yesterday, then you'll already know about this. So maybe there's some of you out there who don't watch Craigslist Hunter's videos and weren't aware. However, this is just a new venture that he's launching. I don't know. I guess we'll see where we go with it. I'm always willing to help, and I think Pete has great ideas. I think it's being well implemented. So we've put some of our items on there just to see how it goes. Now, initially, it's going to maybe be, I believe, on the slow side, because you have to build up a traffic base of not just sellers but buyers. So that's going to be the challenge, but I figure that, it doesn't hurt. Let's get involved and let's see if we can make some kind of an impact, and maybe having just another option. Check that out, and I will put a link in the description box down below. Now, all that aside, guys, I think this is a pretty important conversation. Now, after having the eBay Power Hour recording that we did last night with Josh, my eyes were open to a few things. But, and I'm not going to spill the beans, I'm going to have you still watch the eBay Power Hour podcast on Saturday to get into key factors that sort of have come to my conclusion here. But the old adage used to be that many sellers have to promote because of competition. And competition is the reason why you promote, okay? But it's not as cut and dry as it used to be. And I'm going to have to give you a visual to kind of explain what I'm talking about. But there's so many factors. I believe Patricia is one viewer that pointed this out, and she is 100% correct that it's not just promoted listings that get you a potential sale. There's so many factors that go into your item's visibility. And of course, we talk about a title. Keywords are important not only to match what the buyer is typing into their search request on eBay. It categorizes your item from the moment you launch it into similar items where it stores your item, okay? And for the longest time, I didn't quite understand, and I think I have a better grasp of exactly what's going on with that, and we'll get to that here in a minute. Your photos, the quality of your photos matters. This is your visual. Your buyers see it. The number of photos you have in your listing matters. This is why eBay gives you up to 24, not so that you only use 2, okay? Item specifics matter. eBay has pushed item specifics for years, and It's important. We've talked about that on previous videos. The number of relevant item specifics, if you're just letting them stay blank, or if you're putting NA when you can easily find the answer on a Google search, well, it might be hurting the performance of that listing. Keywords in your listing, whether it's in the item description, in your item specifics, or your title, matters. This is probably one of the bigger ones. Your price matters because it is looked at in a best match search. As far as the price is concerned, eBay will use that information to help determine where your item ranks. But if that buyer then goes on their own and sorts it out by price plus shipping, lowest price plus shipping, it's going to make a big difference if you have a lower price or not. Shipping time. Now, this is why some people believe that, hey, I'm getting more sales. I'm on the West Coast. I get more sales for this type of item than I get on the East Coast. And someone on the East Coast will say, yeah, I get more sales on the East Coast than I do on the West Coast for this type of item. Now, that doesn't mean you won't get sales on either coast, but what it means is that eBay is looking to fulfill the best buyer experience that they can. And in doing this, they're looking at your locality as it is compared to them. Okay, so when they do their search, they're considering how far you are away from that particular buyer. And this is where your handling times and the type of shipping option that you're using makes a difference. If you're using priority shipping over Ground Advantage, for instance, I believe in most cases priority shipping is offering 1 day faster on the range. So instead of from the 5th to the 8th, they'll get it with the Ground Advantage anywhere from the 5th to the 9th. And I believe eBay is looking at that seller. So one seller is using promoted, the other one's using Ground Advantage. That may factor into this decision as far as where your item is ranked. Consistency on the platform. Are you consistent? Are you showing eBay consistency? Because again, they want the best buyer experience. And it just so happens that the more consistent you are as a seller on the platform, the more attentive you are going to be to customer concerns, customer problems, and of course, be on top of shipping the item. Account health. Do you have any defects? Do you have late shipments up the wazoo? Are you, not getting back to buyers in a timely manner? Those are all factored into the account health. Are you top rated seller? Are you above standard? These are major factors that eBay uses to calculate where your item is placed in a best match search. But there's one I haven't mentioned, and that's promoted listings. And that's what this video is about. And I would think that just from looking at the earnings report data and some of the things that were said by the eBay CEO in the earnings call the other day, that promoted listing is here to stay, guys. And if anything, it is their business model. And I think I've mentioned this many times before as a hunch, but I think now the facts are just supporting this, that this isn't going away. So if you do not like to promote, if you think promoting is not something that you need to do to be successful, I don't know what to tell you. If you're working this out without promoting, if you're happy with your sales without promoting, keep not promoting. Stay the course. Don't listen to what I'm saying. But there will become a time where eBay is going to make this so important that you're promoting, maybe 6 months from now, maybe a year or two from now, that what you're doing right now without promoting may not work in a year or two. And that's just me being Paul Revere coming down Concord telling you eBay's coming, promoted listings are coming. And it's a stupid analogy, I know, but I'm here to provide you stupid analogies. Guys, promoted listings is important. Now, it used to be that I would tell you guys, I would sit up here and tell you, well, it's 100% about your exact competition. So if I have, I don't know, let's say I have this phone case, okay? And there's another 20 resellers selling the same phone case. Well, now that's my direct competition for this exact item, okay? But with the eBay similarity vector engine, eBay sees this case as just a case. It doesn't see it as exactly a black case. Yes, it knows it's a black case. It knows the brand because I have 20 other sellers selling this very same case. But depending on if you're promoting or not, let's just say I have a unique item. Let's say I have a unique item. In fact, I'm going to show you here in a minute. Let's say I have an old photo of some old lady, okay, sitting in a rocking chair with her hair up in a bonnet and knitting, and it looks like, wow, this is an old unique photo, and you may have the one of that photo, but eBay doesn't see it that way. eBay sees it as an old photo, okay. eBay will see it as when you first list that, it'll put it in alongside other old photos, for instance. Doesn't matter that it's unique. So many people think I've got unique items. Now, unless you have a meteor that has crashed into your backyard and you have the only known meteor that's ever been listed on eBay, well, that's a little bit different. But even if you list that item on eBay, you're still going to see other results for other items. Now, why is that? So, like for this case, I specifically type in the model for what phone it's for, the color, and it will first try to focus on fulfilling the words that I used to type in that request. Okay, so the keywords. But once that's exhausted, it's going to say, okay, we don't have any more, so here's some other ones that may work for you. They might look at color. They might look at the type of phone that I'm using to put this to use for this case. They might look at a number of things, right? It's sort of like having a brick and mortar and someone coming into your shop asking you for a certain thing. I need a black cell phone case. What are you going to tell them if you don't have one? Well, I don't have a black cell phone case, but we do have some gray ones over here if you want to take a look at it. And that's kind of what eBay's mentality is. They're going to show other things. Now, back to the old lady photo. I've done some searches myself just to see what would come up. And eBay is showing items that are similar. Even though there may not be exact matches, eBay is showing other items that are similar. These are coming up as impressions, and if you are not promoting, eBay is not going to be as inclined to put your items into those search results. So let's click on an item. You go into an item. eBay has determined, like, okay, I'm going to look for this particular photo. I'm looking at this old photo. And eBay is showing you other old photos that doesn't even pertain to the photo that you were looking at in the first place, in hopes that you might like that item. So by promoting, you're giving your items a chance to be seen by people who weren't even looking for that photo, who might be interested in buying that photo. So I think it's important to get away from the mentality of exact keyword matches and how my item is the one-of-one unique thing, when you might have a one-of-one photo, you might have a one-of-one postcard, but you have a postcard, you have a photo, and that, I think eBay is looking at that as it is what it is. It's not so interested in how unique it is. It's looking at it as, I have a sea of photos to pick from for this person's search request, and we're going to try to pull as many photos as we can that's going to be close to what the buyer is asking for. And then, because you have now a sea of listings, and yes, you have a unique item, your item ain't that unique, is it? Because now you have people that are looking at other listings that may be close but not exact to their search request. And I'm going to show you that right here. So we're going to do this in real time. I'm not signed in this browser, so it wants me to sign in, but I'm not. It's going to be some random buyer here, and I'm going to type in, well, let's say, great grandma David Smith. I don't know David Smith, but I'm just putting a random name, photo. What does it come up with? So it says results matching fewer words. So it's going to do its best to try to figure out what I'm trying to find. And I'm finding different things here. David, Granny, grandma Smith, David Smith photographs. Okay, great grandmother Smith Mary. Now, David Smith. So eBay is, when these listings are created, it's taking all the information that you're putting into the listing, and the title is a big part of it, and it's trying to, photos a big part of it with AI. eBay's trying to determine, where do I put these listings? Where do I store these so it's faster to retrieve these items? I'll put it with similar listings. So, you know, you have this old cabinet photo picture of an elderly granny, Smith family. Okay. You might have great grandmother Smith. Okay. I'll even go a little bit more personal, because this actually came up with some pretty cool stuff. Here's my name, Jonathan Miller, great grandma Jonathan Miller photo. And guess what? It couldn't find anything exactly matching what I put in here. So on eBay, there is no such thing as a great grandma Jonathan Miller photo. But you come up with grandmother Miller with cameo brooch. Great grandmother. Here's other keywords that match. Actor, director, comedian Jonathan Miller. I never knew that. Old photo. No grandmother, but the keywords that match. Jonathan Miller. Great grandmother, grandmother baby. Sir Jonathan Miller. Dr. Jonathan Miller. And I go by John, by the way. But these guys didn't. Jonathan Miller, vintage photography. Jonathan Miller. This is why your keywords are important. Now, let's keep going. Okay, more Jonathan Millers. Jonathan Miller. Getting tired of seeing my own name. Okay, here's one. Personalized great grandma t-shirt. Has nothing to do with Jonathan Miller, but look. Sponsored. Mac Miller. Auto reprint. This has nothing to do with grandma. Maybe the last name is the same. Sponsored. Okay. Old original photo. Black and white country family with great grandmother. Well, there's nothing with my name on there. It could be anyone's grandmother. Sponsored. See that? Vintage photograph. Multi-generational. Grandma. Great grandmother. Sponsored. Okay. I'm not going to do that. I don't know what that's about. Let's keep going. Here's one that's not sponsored. At least I can't tell that it is. It's not saying that it is. Vintage photo, 1970s, little boy, mother, grandmother, great grand on couch, Afghan. eBay is trying to do, here's a Miller Huggins Cubs, great classic photo. What does that have to do with grandmother? Mac Miller, another sponsored one. So here's what's happening. eBay is doing its best, whether you're promoted or not, to use keywords to get your item as high up on this list based on relevancy of keywords. But if you are not even close to being relevant and you're sponsoring, guess what? Your item's going to come up just because you use the word great grandmother. Okay? Here's another one. Great grandma holding new baby cassette tapes in background. Sponsored. Okay? So I guess what I'm saying is, many times your item is going to be short of the actual keywords that the buyer is searching for. But merely because you've sponsored your listing, your item is going to be included in more searches that are close than someone who does not have the same keywords that is not close. Because you're promoting, if that makes sense. Now, I guess the question is, do you want to have your item? Do you want to have your item? This one, look, woman grandma drinking Miller beer. There's enough keywords that they didn't have to promote here. Okay? Enough keywords here. Jonathan Miller. There was no grandmother, but they had enough keywords that eBay saw it was close enough that it's going to be put into the rankings high up on page 1. But if you want to be included in more searches that's close without achieving as many keywords, then promoting is going to be the way to do that, if that makes sense. So am I backing off of what I said about having items that are one of a kind you don't need to promote? No, not really, because if you're doing well without promoting with those very same items, then continue doing what you're doing. All I'm offering is an idea as to why it's important, and it's becoming more important than ever to use promoted listings. And I'm just looking at the writing on the wall, guys. I'm not a shill for eBay. Okay, anyone who's watched this channel for longer than a month knows that I am critical of eBay. But I am also willing to see the writing on the wall, right? I'm not going to disregard it if it's right in front of my face. And after doing some research with Josh on this, talking about things like return on ad spend, ROAS, anyone know what that is? Well, that ties directly into promoted listings, and we're going to get into that on the Power Hour podcast that's dropping here in just a couple days on Saturday. It was an eye-opener for me. And for me, it all boils down to this. Are you happy with what you're making on eBay or not? You want to make more out of what you're doing? Well, it's going to really end up at some point costing you more. And I hate to say that. People hate to hear me say that. But that's the reality, guys. eBay has proven that their business model is getting more money from the seller with promoted listings. And if you're not playing the game, it's always been, this is eBay's sandbox, if you got to be playing the game if you want to win. If you're not playing the game, I believe that your items are going to be harder and harder to find unless the buyer is hitting your keywords almost to the T. As you saw in the example, keywords are still critical if you're not promoting. So you better be on point when it comes to getting very good titles. But if you're promoting, eBay kind of forgives you. You saw in some of those examples. I don't know what to tell you guys. A lot of you guys would still, just out of principle, not use promoted listings. But I think we need to change the way we look at it. It is a money grab. It will always be a money grab. And I've always questioned at what end is eBay going to continue to push the envelope. These are still valid questions, but it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the fact that it's not fair. It doesn't change anything. This is why other platforms like the one Pete's putting together, it's already in play right now. It's just a matter of getting traffic over there, where it's only 10% plus a 3.2 or 3.5% processing fee with Stripe. Well, if we build communities of buyers and sellers on other platforms, maybe eBay will change course. To what course? I don't know, because I think eBay is, their business model is, let's focus on investing in AI integrations into our platform. Let's make our platform the most innovative selling platform here in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And other platforms that are just trying to stay afloat will be nothing compared to eBay. Every seller will want to sell on eBay because eBay is going to be the most intuitive platform that's out there. Now, we haven't seen that yet. It's still old infrastructure as far as I'm concerned. But I believe that's where eBay's going, and I believe they're taking promoted listings along with them on the ride, and they're going to milk it as much as they absolutely can, and they're going to make it, I would say, beneficial to those who promote and punitive for those who don't. And that's just my take on it. You might disagree. Put your comments down below. I'm just one guy in my garage trying to do the same thing you're doing, make money. I'm just trying to make sense of it. And maybe I'm off base. Instead of calling me an idiot, tell me why I'm off base. But I thought I was able to at least try to prove that promoted listings are very important. Figuring all this out, just yet another example of how flipping ain't easy. And YouTube, for some reason, thinks you're going to like one of these videos. So give them a look. And until next time, be there on the live Friday, 3 p.m., 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll talk to you very soon. Take care, everyone.